So, we have Toyota announces 1.33 billion investment in a Kentucky plant. That's right. That's out of Yahoo News on the finance section. And so domestically, like I said before the break, we're doing incredible on the economy, on domestic policy, on building back jobs. You know, that's all great. That's all happening. That's all part of Trump's agenda. But that's kind of like an autopilot to me on what's really supposed to be happening. If he's strayed away from that, then I really think that something was really wrong. Then I really think that he's an elitist trying to get out there and sabotage the economy, striking American people first. So he's not really doing that. There's still businesses coming back into the country, reinvesting their money here to provide more jobs and ultimately, you know, jumpstart the economy, which is exactly what we need right now. That's all great. That's all incredible. We need that money here. We need to start building the wall, which is basically like a virtual Band-Aid on the real situation here. But that's all part of the agenda, that we need to secure the border, make us more safe, and solve the problem within our own country before we go out and branch and start instigating other problems with other countries, like in Syria, like we'll get to today. I broke down earlier San Bernardino school shooting that happened today. That's extremely sad. An 8-year-old boy died. 2 other staff members died. Facility members of the school died. That's all unfolding. But like I said before the break, notice that these shootings, San Bernardino twice, the gay nightclub in Orlando, the biggest mass shooting in American history, all in places with no guns, no protection, nothing. And they know this, and that's why these places are easy striking targets, massively easy, and it's terribly sad. And people die. A lot of people die. It's horrible. So we've got this shooter here. It wasn't a mass shooting, but you know, it wasn't an elementary school. It was like a mini Sandy Hook, you know, event going on, and so that happened today. I believe he's in custody now, and justice will be served on his end. But we're seeing just incredible things. So if you remember, let's switch lanes here. Let's go a little bit outside of America real quick. If you remember last week, I don't remember the day specifically, there was a bombing in Russia in a railway station. It was a nail bomb, and it killed, I believe, 12 people, something like that. I forget the casualty score. I didn't print it out today. I'm just coming as I go here. I have no script, but I'm looking at this, and I'm remembering that. And if you look it up, Saudi Arabia threatens Russia a while ago, saying that, oh, okay, if you don't let our people in, we're going to start blowing you up. Same thing with Erdogan of Turkey, the leader of Turkey, saying, okay, well, if Europe doesn't let our people in through our refugee program, I'm going to send my people over there to start blowing your crap up. Okay, he said that, not word verbatim, but overall, that's what he means. That's what he's saying. And we see it happening now. We see it happening. I'm going to go to what happened in Sweden not too long ago. And everyone's like, oh, look what Trump said, what happened last night in Sweden. Well, basically, I think a night or two ago, something happened in Sweden. We're going to talk about that. Also, Palm Sunday bombings of Egyptian Coptic churches kill 44 people. That's right. So on one of the biggest days of the Christian faith, Palm Sunday, we have Islamic extremists and the ISIS state. I believe it says Islamic State claim responsibility for the attacks. Yes, they claim responsibility for an attack as usual, just like they did in the one in Russia, in St. Petersburg. They claim responsibility for an attack here in Egypt. It's almost every week now you see a bombing happening in different countries, and then you see the heads of leaders of states, just like Jean-Claude Juncker, threatening America to say, okay, well, if we're going to try and break up your country with Ohio and Texas, I don't know. He was mentioning a couple of states, like, we're going to try and divide the country when the guy's a damn alcoholic. The guy's got problems. The guy's a Nazi heir. Okay, his family's got Nazi ties in history from Luxembourg. He was the 43rd, I believe, Prime Minister of Luxembourg. He's corrupt as hell. He's corrupt. He's a total globalist. He's totally for the EU. He's the head of the EU. So we're witnessing things like that, threats happening all the time. ISIS comes out and directly threats Trump now, You know, when people were like, oh, why isn't ISIS threatening Trump directly? You know, oh, all of a sudden, yeah, they come out and pretty much call him an idiot. And now they're supporting him because he bombs a Syrian base, which ultimately helps ISIS in the end, in the long run. It's not going to help us. Israel's proud of it. Iran's not proud of it. Russia's not proud of it. I don't like Iran. I don't care about Iran. Russia, I could care less. I just don't want to go to war with them. And now Russia's saying, strike again, and you'll go to war. Now, the whole thing was based off, I'm sure you heard, it was all over Facebook. It's all over the news. It still is on the news. It's not going to stop, but that's a big story. Now, the big breakdown of this is Assad had apparently sarin gas 4 years ago. And Russia says, okay, well, we'll make a deal with you. We'll take out the sarin gas. So it won't be part of your arsenal anymore. Okay, we thought that happened. Well, apparently, now they're saying Assad, that never happened. There was still sarin gas. But if we look at history and we look at the current events today, let's walk through it. 2013, there was a sarin gas bombing in Syria again. And it was, we found out through the rebels, which obtained it through Libya. It was trafficked through Libya, which the State Department provided, and the CIA. And then the rebels used sarin gas on civilians. They blamed Assad, but Obama didn't go to war. Okay, that's the one thing that Obama didn't push any missiles onto Syria. Didn't deploy anything. But now we see, and that's happened a few times. That's not the only time, but that's one of the biggest moments right there. Now we see that it's happening again under the Assad regime. Now, if you look at what's happening in Syria, you would understand that there would be no point in Assad to launch the sarin gas because he's winning the war against ISIS and Al-Qaeda and al-Nusra. He's winning the battle. He's kicking them out. And then all of a sudden, what, he just, boom, out of nowhere, gasses his own people. Look, I don't want to be ISIS's Air Force. That's basically what we're being. Okay, like, I support Trump. I support the president on many different fronts. But this foreign policy, he's clearly being manipulated, clearly being misadvised, and it's not going for what we voted for. Voters didn't want any conflict in Syria, okay? They were winning their own civil war they've been having for years now. They're winning that civil war. And then Assad just, up and randomly gasses his own people against international law. That's human liberty, civil liberties law. Human rights is a human rights violation. Children died. I know it was horrible. If you saw the pictures, if you saw the scenes, it was terrible. And children died. And no one likes seeing that. You know, but the fact that we all instantly, within 48 hours, decided to launch 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles. You saw the videos. I'll probably roll some videos as I'm talking about this. We launched those missiles 500 feet in the air over to the Syrian base in Sharat and bombed the place. But we warned the Russians an hour in advance. So then, now if you notice in the media, no one's talking about the fact that Trump's a Russian agent anymore. No one's saying anything. Why? Because the fact that he just launched 59 missiles at a Syrian base, with Russia being Syria's ultimate ally, that right there is a shot in the head to the Russian story. Right there, it's done. Decapitated right there. So now no one can say anything. Now they're not talking about it. Remember, there was huge, massive investigations. FBI was involved, NSA was involved, CIA was involved. Here, Senate hearings were going on, House Intelligence Committees, Nunes stepped down, all this crap. And now, it's silent. Now it's silent. Why? Well, let's look at something real quick. Steve Bannon, 2 days before Trump decided to bomb Syria, was exiled out of the National Security Council. And he was really the only one there that was going more towards a pro-nationalist, pro-America, anti-war agenda. That the war hawks and the NSC, the CFR members really, and H.R. McMaster, who was the head of the National Security Council and Trump's national security advisor now, is a total warmonger and Ever since Steve Bannon gets kicked out, he gets demoted. He still has his clearance, but he's demoted. You understand? He's still chief strategist, but he's demoted from the NSC. So moments after that happens, literally 2 days later, oh, we bombed Syria. Look, the one person in there that didn't want to go to war with Syria gets kicked out of the NSC, and then Trump decides to go because he's listening to the generals. The generals want war. Most of them do. I'm not saying all generals are bad, but I'm saying the ones advising Trump really are not. They want to topple Assad. They want regime change. We cannot have regime change in Syria. Okay, let's just get one thing straight. If we topple Assad, who's going to take over? ISIS? Look what happened to Libya. We toppled Gaddafi. I came out, saw he died. Now look at Libya. It's destroyed. Libya's it's a failed state. It's an official failed state. Done. And we want to do the same thing in Syria. Who is it? Rex Tillerson? They're all calling for, simultaneously, we'll take out ISIS and then we'll take out Assad. You can't do that. Why not let the Syrian people decide? Assad always even said he'll step down from Damascus the moment this ISIS is out. And with our help, hopefully, I don't see that happening now. Okay, especially with the help of Russia now, that can happen. But as of right now, that's not going to happen. That's really not going to happen. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Look, I got an article out here from Axios. Trump plans centrist push and Priebus is on board. Yeah, now he's got the little weasel, the little ferret, Priebus. Doesn't he just look like a freaking He looks like a little rat. I can't stand the guy. He's out there talking shit about the president behind closed doors. But then when it comes to war and when it comes to neocon crap, he's all for it. Steve Bannon, engine and soul of President Trump's hard-edged approach to the first month in office is increasingly isolated and we forced out unless he can adopt a more cooperative approach. From a top source, they said. Well, you know what? Steve Bannon is the only one in there. They tried to get other people in there with more nationalist, pro-America, anti-war ideologies in there. But Steve Bannon really is alone. And I think there's other forces behind this, like Jared Kushner. He's acting like, it looks like, just in my opinion, just looking at Kushner, it looks like he's warming up to be the president. I don't like that. I'm not going to sit here and bash Trump's family because they're great people. I like what they do. They're all very smart, very wealthy. They've had their own successes and nothing's wrong with that. But the fact that Kushner's out there and he's having fights with Bannon behind closed doors. Oh yeah, you can look that. There's articles all over the damn place about Kushner and Bannon behind closed doors, like punching each other out politically, not physically. Over just ridiculous debates is happening, and we're witnessing this on different levels, and there's a lot of disagreements happening, even between Ivanka and Bannon, and because they're all Democrats. Jared Kushner's a registered liberal Democrat. Ivanka Trump is a Democrat. She's more of a feminist, but not like a Hillary Clinton feminist. You get that? She's kind of more, she wants women's rights and stuff, but that really does exist already, and she's just pushing that more feminist agenda, and it's really driving Trump. And I saw an article. I put it up on my Facebook page. I'll probably have to throw it up here. On Ivanka, basically saying that she influenced Trump to bomb Syria because of the pictures of babies, the beautiful babies that Trump went out and made like a 5-minute statement or whatever on. Basically that it was his ultimate motivation to strike Syria. The children that died. The sarin gas. Well, okay, look. Remember what happened in the Gulf War in Taiwan? Excuse me, Kuwait. Kuwait. A long day. When what's-her-name went up there and made a crying, sad speech and stuff, and the incubators of the babies, and they were left in the cold, and Saddam killed them all, and it ended up being a complete lie. Total lie. Now you see the same thing happening here. Nikki Haley at the UN showing pictures of the babies when they won't show pictures of the people that died under lorry attacks from jihadists and shootings in the Egyptian churches, killing 44 people. and bombings. You know, it's just ridiculous. It's selective as hell. And then they kick out Bannon. And that's where, and then Bannon's all, then it's all over the news. Bannon's threatening to quit. You know, God forbid that ever happen, because if Bannon quits, then the administration is done. Bannon's the only one really keeping Trump's head on straight with foreign policy and nationalism, and not really going to war. He didn't want the war in Syria. A lot of people don't want the war in Syria. The nation is really divided amongst Trump supporters on whether that attack was a good idea or not. I'm on the side that no, I'm not okay with that. And look at the people look back at. You got Hillary Clinton, you got Chuck Schumer, you got Adam Schiff, that dumbass, that little squirrel-looking thing. You got ISIS. ISIS was completely backed it. They said, yes, thank you. Look at that. The idiot Trump helped us out. Is he an idiot now? To you. I think it was an idiot move, but I can't totally blame Trump because he's being advised by hardcore elitist CFR Council on Foreign Relations members, generals, and security advisor. I don't agree with it. I didn't like it, and I don't think this is going to play out well, because now Russia's going to threatening to retaliate and things like that, and it's happening all over again. And it says we're not listening to history. We're not listening to what happened. We're not remembering. I know Trump's smarter than that, but I don't get why, people are saying that he did it because he wants to show up China. Look, and the media's all over it. CNN and Fox and MSNBC, they're all over it. They're all saying it was a great thing. Look, Trump became president today. He became leader of the free world after bombing Syria. Just having their viewers believe that this hasn't happened before. And then you got a guy, I'll probably play this clip. I'll probably play this clip before we go out to break here in just a few minutes. We got a guy, one of the congressmen, he's a Republican, going on CNN with the blondie girl, whatever info babe she is, and saying that, and questioning the real story. Saying that, look, like I don't really know what all happened here. We've seen it before in the past where there's no reason for Assad to gas his people when he's on the verge of winning back the country right now over ISIS. There's no reason, and I agree with the guy. And then she's just aghast. She's just like, oh my God. How you side with ISIS? You don't. You side with Assad. You don't side with the Congress and the people and the Senate. And me? And then he's sitting there like with a straight face, like, yeah, like this doesn't make any sense. And I'm sitting there like, well, finally, thank God someone said something. I haven't even heard Rand Paul stick on it. But before we got the break here, only got a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and run that clip, and then we'll come right back and dive more into what's going on in the UN and what's going to happen and what happened in Sweden and things like that, and what's going to happen in China. We're going to go on from there. It's going to get ridiculous. I'll be right back. Stay right here on the Justin Comer Show. Don't move.
It's hard to know exactly what's happening in Syria right now. I'd like to know specifically how that release of chemical gas, if it did occur, and it looks like it did, how that occurred. Because frankly, I don't think Assad would have done that. It does not serve his interests. It would tend to draw us into that civil war even further.
Who do you think is behind it? Who do you think is behind it?
You've got a war going on over there. Supposedly that airstrike was on an ammo dump, and so I don't know if it was released because there was gas stored in the ammo dump or not. That's plausible. I'm not saying that's what I think happened, but
You're more inclined to believe the position of what Bashar al-Assad is saying and what the Russians are saying right now than more inclined to believe what even your colleagues here in the United States believe is truth, that this is Assad, and what human rights observers over there say is Assad?
I don't think it would have served Assad's purposes to do a chemical attack on his people. So it's hard for me to understand why he would do that if he did.
Congressman Tom Massey, thanks for your time.